everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Lauren and I make videos a couple of times a week about books and fandom things. So today is another episode of Shadowhunters 101, and in Shadowhunters 101 I basically explain Shadowhunters, I guess, like the reading order, and this one is about bonus books. My phone is ringing. So over the years I have been very vocal about my love for the Shadowhunter Chronicles, my loves. And I get asked a lot of questions about the Shadowhunter Chronicles when I talk about them and when I do reviews of the books. So I started Shadowhunters 101 to talk about the reading order, and today I'm gonna answer a question which I get asked so much. Do I have to read the bonus books? Like the books that aren't part of like a series, you know, like, so you've got the whole Mortal Instruments, then you've got the Infernal Devices, then you've got the Dark Artificers, and these books are not like a book in that series, so are they necessary reading? Let's talk about it. Before we get into those ones, I did just want to say that some people are including the Eldest Curses, the Red Scrolls of Magic and the Lost Book of the White as bonus books, but this is actually a series. It's going to be a trilogy. There's going to be one more book to it, and this focuses on Magnus and Alec. Well, this isn't like a main series the way that things like the Dark Artificers are. Like, it's not like directly following on from a series that we've got. This one is set in between City of Glass and City of Fallen Angels, and this one is set like after Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy, probably during-ish Lady Midnight. I want to say this is probably set, or like around about then anyway. So these ones are little bonus content, but it doesn't, like, so far haven't directly impacted the storylines of what's happening, because these are set around the time of books that have already happened, that we've already followed, so they don't directly have an impact. However, based on how this one ended, I don't know if it is going to have an impact, and I don't know if that's going to be something which ties in later on, because it ended in a very stressful and specific way. So I would say definitely include these as a Shadowhunter series and definitely read them, mostly because they're really good and it's just a quality mallet content. Like I said, they don't like directly follow on, they're in between. It's an in-between series, but I would recommend them because I do think they're going to have an impact. I do think that's going to be a thing. So I would recommend them as actual like big parts, like a part of the series now. I would say read those. So I'm going to talk about actual genuine bonus books right now, because I get asked about these a lot, if they are necessary reading, because I never include them in my reading order. So people are like, should I read them? Should I not? And when should I read them? Are they going to be spoilery? And that is the notable history of Shadowhunters and Denizens of the Downworld. Shadowhunters and Downworlders, which is edited by Cassandra Clare, and also the Shadowhunters Codex. So these are literally like bonus books. These are not part of the main series. You don't need to read any of these in order to know the storyline which is happening in the main series. They don't need to know. The Shadowhunters Codex is actually a book which the Shadowhunters in the series have themselves. So when you are training to become a Shadowhunter, if you're in Shadowhunter Academy, so this has comments and commentary throughout it from Clary, Simon and Jace. So, but it is genuinely just like where Shadowhunters came from, and Downworlders and demons and warlocks and all the different things, and it's essentially like a textbook, like a Shadowhunters textbook. You don't really need it. It's nice little extra content, but it's not something which is necessary to read. You don't need to own this book. It's not going to impact what you know in the story, because obviously it does go into Shadowhunter history in the Mortal Instruments anyway, so not completely necessary, but it is a nice little addition. This I would say read after or during the Mortal Instruments, just because there might be a couple of things which could slightly spoil you, but overall I think this one is pretty okay on the spoiler front. So this book, if you do want to have it, it's a lovely little thing to have on your shelves. This is the version from Topacico, I can never say the name of that website. I will link it down below. In bookshops it is black, it's a black version. This again is not necessary. I will show you a really basic picture. Here you go, here's Jace. So it's literally artwork by the amazing Cassandra Jean, and then information about that character. So again, it's not a necessity. It genuinely is just a little bit of information about all the characters within the series. I would say do not read this until you have read the Dark Artifices, so until you've read all the way up to that point, because this has characters in it that you won't know yet, and it'll have characters that are spoilery characters in it. Yeah, it's a nice little thing to have, and I would really recommend having it because I love it so much. It's one of my favourite like Shadowhunter things that I have, but I would recommend not spoiling yourself. But again, it's not necessary to the plot of the books. It doesn't really give you that information. This is one which, like I said, isn't written by Cassandra Clare. It has joined Cassandra Clare in a circle of top YA authors as they explore the world of the mortal instruments. So it's a bunch of different authors, and it's just like discussions, again, not necessary to the plot. I would probably wait until like you finish the mortal instruments, just because it has some things that some of the characters do in it that they discuss, but this can literally, after the mortal instruments series, like this does not impact the plot in any way. You don't need to read this in order to read the books. You don't need to own this in order to read the books. But it just has, again, a little bit of extra information and a little bit of Shadowhunters discussion, which we love. So then, the main three that I get asked about are these bad boys. The Bane Chronicles, Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, and Ghosts of the Shadow Market. Now these are the big bind-up bonus books. That was a very long alliteration. Bane Chronicles came out first, and it is literally the Chronicles of Magnus Bane. Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, again, is literally Tales from Shadowhunter Academy when one of the characters, if you've not read it yet, I'm not going to spoil, is at the Shadowhunter Academy. And Ghosts of the Shadow Market is the Shadow Market over the years. Are these necessary to read? I would say absolutely yes. When the Bane Chronicles came out, this was a little bit of bonus stories which were not necessarily a core part of the plot. So things happened in this which gave us a little bit more of an insight into Magnus's past, people that he met, characters that we haven't quite met yet from the Last Hours series, and just a little bit of extra bonus content, which I adore because I have said so many times I live for bonus content, especially of Magnus Bane. I think if you didn't read this, you wouldn't necessarily miss out on plot. I think this is okay to not read. I recommend reading it because I recommend reading them all. But I think if you didn't realise and you read them all and then thought, oh, I didn't read the Bane Chronicles like in release order or chronological order, that's fine. It doesn't really have an impact. Like, it is just bonus stuff. But I would recommend it because it's amazing and it's all about Magnus and he's a delight. So I would recommend reading it. And like I said, it gives you an insight into a bunch of characters, which is really good. But if you do decide to read this, do not read it until you've read the Mortal Instruments and also the Infernal Devices, because it will spoil you for those books. So read those two series first. Don't need to read this in order to read the Dark Artifices. Because these two, however, are... read these. You will want to read these in order to make sense of things that are happening. So, like I said, this is Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy when a redacted character is in the Shadowhunter Academy, but it also goes back to different Shadowhunter Academies over time, so over the characters that we know from the Infernal Devices, the Last Hours, and all these different characters. So this one is set after the City of Heavenly Fire, so after the Mortal Instruments series and after the Infernal Devices, again, to read it then. This is important to understand why some characters are the way they are in the Dark Artifices. So characters come into it, characters evolve, things happen to certain characters. Also, I would read this before reading The Lost Book of the White, which is one of the Eldest Curses series that I spoke about before. This one, because this is set like not long after this. This will spoil things that happen in this, if you get me. So yeah, so this is really important. There are things that happen in this which then are spoken about later on and are key points of later on scenes and later on bits from the book. So if you haven't read this, you'll be like, oh, I didn't realise that he was this and they had this and blah 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 blah. So this, I would say, is important. Ghosts of the Shadow Market is another one which I say is important to read. Don't read this until you have finished the Dark Artifices, so the Mortal Instruments, the Infernal Devices, and the Dark Artifices, because this will spoil things that happen in the Dark Artifices because it's afterwards. This is the Shadow Market over loads of years, so it does also focus on the Last Hours characters. So then when you read the Last Hours, when you read Chain of Gold, which is the first book, and that one is out now, there are bits in this which help you understand why some characters are the way they are in the Last Hours. And then also this adds to some families, new people appear, little things happen. So this again is really important, and there's things that happen in this which then when the Wicked Powers comes out, which is the final series, when the first book of that comes out and that series starts, things in that will make sense because of things that happened in Ghost of the Shadow Market. So yes, please leave me any questions if that was not clear. I do have a full Shadowhunter reading order which I will link down below, and when the Wicked Powers starts to come out I will do an updated one. I'm also going to do a video soon which is another Shadowhunters 101, which is a upcoming books and where they fit in, because those are the questions I get so much, so the bonus books and then also that. So I hope that helped. Let me know anything else you want to know about the Shadowhunter Chronicles that could be in a future Shadowhunters 101. Like I said, if you guys are new here, then I make videos a couple of times a week about books and fandom things. So if you want to stick around and join us, feel free to hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell. And as usual, all the links to my other social medias and also my Stranger Things podcast are in the description down below. Thank you for watching. I hope you're doing really, 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 really well, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!